Right. Let me know if the screen is visible for everyone to see. Let me know if the screen is visible for everyone to see. Now, please understand what the past was in the field of lease accounting. In the past, whenever we used to have something known as an operating lease. Now, what is an operating lease? I'll directly start speaking about what an operating lease is rather than helping you to distinguish between both the leases. Understand the concept here. An operating lease is a simple arrangement between a lessor and a lessee. What does the lessor offer to the lessee? The lessor offers to the lessee space. What does the lessee give to the lessor? Gives him rent. It could be per month, it could be per quarter, it could be per annum, depending on the agreement. Generally, it is per month throughout the place. What used to happen is that lessees used to use this space like it was their own and keep paying a monthly rental. This fact that they used to keep using this space continued for a bunch of years at a stretch. 5, 10, 15, sometimes 20, sometimes more than 20. What did the accounting framework identify here? The accounting framework identified that lessees are using this space as if it is their own. There is no doubt about this. You give me your premises, I make my office over there. I will use it like it's my own place. I will take your basic permissions for things that I may or I may not do. After that, I will make whatever changes, modifications, customizations that I have to make that suit that place to meet my requirements. Secondly, these changes that the lessee makes were generally capitalized by the lessee as leasehold improvements. Leasehold improvements are allowed to be capitalized. Why are they allowed to be capitalized? Because they give you benefits for more than one period. Say, for example, I change the structure of the office. I install an AC. I build a wall. I make a partition. I create meeting rooms out of an open space. These are things that I'm going to use for more than an accounting period for the entire tenure of the lease, say, which is 5 years. So anything that gives me a benefit, an economic benefit for more than one period, as per accounting principles and logic, has to be capitalized. So the lessee would then capitalize these leasehold improvements that they had made. What about the lessor? The lessor would get rent payments per annum, right? And year on year basis, maybe there would be a percentage increase in the rent. Say there would be a 10% or a 15% or a 20% hike in the lease rent. This is what was happening. The fact that they were using this space as if it was their own was never captured in accounting. It was never captured. So IFRS 16 came up with the idea that we need to capture the fact that the lessee essentially by paying rent purchases the right to use an asset. Right to use is a very, very important aspect. The right to use in itself is an asset. This right grants the lessee access to a particular asset, the right to use it the way they want to use it, and derive future economic benefits from the use of that particular asset. Now, for example, you take an office on rent. For example, you take an office on rent. Who has access to this office? You have access to this office. Who derives income from the use of this office? Who derives an income from the use of this office? You derive an income from the use of this office. So basically, you are using this office to earn an income. You are using this office for your right of access. Basically, you are using this office. And the fact that you are paying rent gives you a right to use this office. This particular right in itself is an asset. So the lessee now, irrespective of the nature of the lease, now leases are of two types, operating lease and financial lease. Irrespective of the nature of the lease, the lessee is required now to capitalize a right of use asset. So the distinction between an operating lease and a financing lease has vanished in the books of the lessee. For the lessor, it exists. I'm not saying no. For the lessor, it exists. But for the lessee, this difference has gone out of the picture. Now, every asset that the lessee takes on rent or on lease will require a lessee to capitalize a right of use asset and in turn recognize a lease liability against that particular asset. Now, here I am going to go over the broader aspects of the concept of leasing and not go over the minor aspects such as exceptions, whereby if the asset value is less than $5,000 or if the lease tenure is less than 1 year, then you do not have to recognize a right of use asset and a lease liability. What is the distinction between an operating lease and a finance lease? I am not going to go through that immediately. I will take one MCQ and I will help you to deal and understand that aspect, and it will clear the entire concept for you. You all don't have to bother about it. At the present moment, understand the calculation that go into the picture. This is the basic logic. This is the basic concept. You can take a screenshot of this if you want to. However, you cannot expect any MCQs to come out of this basis. This is laying the platform of the topic for you. It's like an introduction to the subject. So if you choose not to take a screenshot, I hold nothing against you. You all are not losing out on anything. So can I go ahead? If you want to take it, please take a screenshot. Are you taking it?
Yes, sir, taking.
Taken it? Yeah.
Yes,
So,
sir. Yes, sir, taking.
so please, the both of you who generally do it, please do that. Now let's go ahead. Now let's go ahead. Now see what happens is, whenever we speak about IFRS does fair value accounting. Fair value accounting has an essence. The essence of fair value accounting is that time value of money has to be adhered to. What is the meaning of time value of money? See, today, I have to recognize a right of use asset and a lease liability. What is the meaning of that? We'll deal about it later. Now, let's say that this lease is for 5 years. First year, second year, third year, fourth year, and fifth year. I have to pay lease rentals for every year. But when I capitalize this in my books today, what is the value of the payments that I am making after 1 year today? I am making a payment after 2 years. What is the value of it today? I am making a payment after 3 years. What is the value today? I am making a payment after 4 years. What is the value today? I am making a payment after 5 years. What is the value today? The simple meaning is, for example, if a parent wants their child to say pursue higher education after 10 years, when after 10 years, and the cost of this higher education after 10 years is going to be $1 million. How much money do they have to invest today? For example, at the prevalent market rate of interest, which can be, let's say, 12% per annum, how much interest do they have to invest today? How much money do they have to invest today so as to receive $1 million after 10 years? So I need to calculate a particular sum of money, say X, which will grow at the rate of 10% per annum to become $1 million after 10 years. So the question is, am I making a bulk investment today one time, or am I making an annual investment of an equal amount? That is the question we need to ask. Are you understanding the distinction between these two concepts? For example, if I was to say, right? Just hold on for 1 second. I need my calculator. So if I make a bulk investment one time, I have to invest 3,85,543 rupees today, which will then be every year earning a 10% interest. And it will then eventually become how much? It will eventually become 10 lakhs after 10 years. Are you understanding what I'm trying to say? You can assess this. You can assess this. I'll tell you how. Put 3,85,543 on your calculator. Press 10% once. Press it twice. Again 10%. Thrice. 4 times. 5 times. 6 times. 7 times. 8 times. 9 times. And 10 times. You will get 10 lakhs. You will get 10 lakhs. Why? I just grew this at the rate of 10% every year. That was a bulk one time. Now people will say, no, we want to go in for an annual investment. We want to go in for an annual investment. How much money should we put in today? So they are talking about an annuity. So the future value is 10 lakhs. They are asking you, how much should we invest today? They are asking you, how much should we invest today? Right? For this to become a particular, for this to become 10 lakhs after a particular period of time. What you are calculating here essentially is the future value of an annuity regular. Now, I don't want to make this a complicated financial management lecture while it is basics. Its basics are in accounting. I don't want to do that for the benefit of everybody present. We can talk about time value of money at depth. It's one of the specializations we have at Apex Academics, and we teach people this at CA foundation level at a great depth. If you are interested, you can watch those lectures of time value of money at CA foundation level. There is a playlist available on the YouTube channel. But do that when you are free and you have nothing better to do in life. Right now, you don't need it. Right now, you just need to understand the basic calculations. So here, what is essentially happening is, essentially, every year, you are paying a rent. So it takes the form of an equal annual investment, which is nothing but an annuity. What is the meaning of an annuity? An annuity is an equal or an equivalent sum of money that is paid every year or every period to achieve a financial target. Now here, if I was to say, I'm rubbing this, you don't need a screenshot for this. Here, if I was to say that every year you have to pay, for example, $10,000, that is per annum, for 5 years for this lease agreement. And the rate of interest implicit in the lease. What is the rate of interest implicit in the lease? It is the rate that enables you to calculate the present value of all the lease payments. The rate of interest implicit in the lease is, for example, you can say 10% per annum. Calculate the present value of the lease payments that you are making. So it's a very simple concept. You have to calculate the present value at the rate of 10%. How do you do this on your calculator? 1 divided by 1.10, press equal to once, you will get 0.9090. Second equal to, you will get 0.826. Third equal to, you will get 0.751. Right? 1 divided by 1.10. Check it. 751. Fourth equal to 0.6830. Right? Fifth equal to, you will get 0.621. These are the present value factors. The meaning of this is, at the rate of 10%, after 1 year, if you are paying $1 or 1 rupee, whatever, the value of that today is 0.9090. The value of that is 0.9090. So after 2 years, if you are paying $1, the value of that is 0.826. After 3 years, if you are paying $1, the value of that today is 0.751. After 4 years, if you are paying $1, the value of that today is 0.683. And after 5 years, if you are paying $1, the value of that is 0.621. I can understand and appreciate that many of you will feel complicatedly confused about this. That is absolutely okay, because we are jumping directly to the third or fourth level of time value of money directly. But you don't need the initial levels for CMA USA Group 1 right now. Group 2, I appreciate, will do it. So we are just saving time. So now what happens is, if 1 rupee after 1 year is going to be 0.9090, how much is 10,000 going to be? That's the basic cross multiplication we have to do. So we have to multiply these two. So essentially, you have to multiply the discounting factor with the cash inflow or the cash outflow. So in the first year, second year, third year, fourth year, and fifth year, what are your rent payments? They are 10,000, 10,000, 10,000, 10,000, and 10,000, against which the discounting factor is 0.909, 0.826, 0.751, 0.683, and 0.621. Now take the present value, just multiply. This will be 9090, this will be 8260, this will be 7510, this will be 6830, this will be 6210. This suddenly looks like a Nokia showroom. Back in the old days, if you all had those Nokia phones, that's how the models used to be. So 9090 plus 8260 plus 7510 plus 6830 plus 6210. What is the total? The total is 37,900. So for anybody who feels that he is paying 10,000 for 5 years, he or she, and they are paying 50,000 at the end of it, they are not paying 50,000 at the end of it. The true value of this 50,000 is going to be 37,900 today. And this 37,900 is recognized as a right of use asset and correspondingly as a lease liability. Because you are essentially purchasing the right to use this space for 5 years by paying 10,000 per annum, and the present value of 10,000 per annum paid for 5 years is 37,900 today. Do we understand this calculation? Yes or no? Please tell me that. Yes or no? Please tell me that. Yeah, Maruf.
ये 1 डिवाइड बाय 1.10 कहाँ से आया?
10% is the discounting factor. The formula of anything is that future value is equal to present value into bracket 1 plus r raised to n. This is the formula for compounding interest. Present value, if I have to calculate, it will be future value divided by 1 plus r raised to n. So this can also be written as future value multiplied by 1 upon 1 plus r raised to n. Your rate of interest is 10. It is 1 upon 1 plus 0.10 raised to whatever period. So 1 divided by 1.10 yahan se aaya. Substituting this in the compound interest formula, which I directly did on my basic commercial non-scientific calculator. Right? On this calculator, you can do everything. You can find out cube roots also. You just need to know how to use this particular gadget. Right? It's a computer at the end of the day. Believe me. Right? It's a computer. So you can do all these calculations. Now, for 1 year raised to 1, for 2 years raised to 2, jitne baar raised to, utne baar equal to press karne ka. So if I want to calculate the value after 10 years, the formula after 3 years, it's going to be raised to 3. Correct? So raised to 3, you will calculate on the calculator. That's how the program is there. You have to press equal to 3 times. You will get 0.751. Do on your simple calculator. You have a calculator like this. 1 divided by 1.10. Press equal to 3 times. You will get 0.751. Or else you can do it on Excel. Do the following. Is equal to 1 divided by into bracket 1.10. Press the raise to 3. You will get 0.751. You can do this on an Excel sheet cell also. Are you with me? Are you with me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. No need to take a screenshot of this. Assimilate the concept in your mind. Now what is happening? Please pay attention. Now what is happening? Please pay attention. So suppose if I say that annual lease payment is equal to 15,000 per annum. Lease period is equal to 3 years. Life of asset is equal to 5 years. Discounting factor or rate of interest implicit in lease. Inflation factor, whatever word they use, is equal to 15%. They are saying, calculate right of use asset, lease liability. So year 1, year 2, year 3. What is your rent payment every year at the end of the year? It is 15,000. Here, the word payment made at end of year is very important. Why? I will tell you shortly. 15,000. 15,000. Discounting factor at the rate of 15%. How will you calculate 1 divided by 1.15? Press equal to first time. 1 divided by 1.15. Press the first equal to, you will get 0.86956. So I will write this off as 0.870. I have rounded it off. Don't press any other button on your calculator. Press equal to again. You will get 0.756. Don't press any other button on your calculator. Press equal to again. You will get 0.65. Sorry, you will get 0.658. It is 6575. I rounded it off to 658. Now multiply these two to get the present value of your cash outflow. 15,000 multiplied by 0.870. Press equal to, press M plus on your calculator. 15,000. Now press freshly 15,000. Don't press the on button. Directly press 15,000 again. Multiplied by 0.756. Press equal to. You will get 11,340. Press M plus. Then again type 15,000 multiplied by 0.658. Press equal to. You will get 9870. Press M plus. Press MRC. When you press MRC, you will automatically get a total of all of these numbers. So what is the total of these numbers that you are seeing on your screen? The total of these numbers is 34,260. What is the total? 34,260. That is the total that you are going to get. If you have done a different calculation, maybe it is because of the decimals that are being rounded off. Don't worry about that. Now what happens is, you are essentially going to pay 45,000 over a 3-year period for gaining the right of use of the asset, and the value of that 45,000 today, that is its present value, is 34,260. 34,260 represents a right for you to use the asset, which is in itself an asset for you, and a payable amount at its present value, which represents a liability for you. In accounting, there are two aspects, a debit aspect and a credit aspect. They have to be balanced. So the fact that you are going to pay a present value of 34,260 shows that you are going to gain an asset in the form of the right of using this asset, and you are going to incur a liability in the form of the fact that you have to pay 34,260 rupees or dollars, whatever is the currency. Here a journal entry has to be passed. And what is that journal entry that you pass? It's a very straightforward journal entry. It is right of use asset account debit to lease liability. And what is the amount? 34,260. Whether it is US GAAP or whether it is IFRS 16, at both places, this journal entry stays concretely intact. There is no change in it. For all of us who are serving in Gulf countries today, for all of us who are planning on going abroad today, and by abroad I mean UK, USA, Canada, anywhere, IFRS 16 is bread and butter. IFRS 16 is something that they will ask you for any kind of job interview. They'll ask you whether you have understanding of IFRS 16. This small chapter gives you that crucial insight. So take it quite seriously over and above your exams as well. Yeah, Maru.
So why we will make entry for 34,260?
I'm sorry?
Beside of why we will make entry for 34,260?
In the starting of the lecture, I explained that IFRS does its accounting all at fair value. All at fair value. And at fair value, you have to take into consideration the present value of the payments. The value of the payments today, see, you are making 15,000 every year. I agree. But what is the value of $15,000 paid after 3 years? Today, see, this is the third year's rent. When are you going to pay this? In year 3. What is the value of it today? The value of it today is 9870. 9870
What?
today will become 15,000 after 3 years because of inflation, because of interest. So I am recording it at its present value today. After 2 years, you are going to pay 15,000. What is the value of it today? Today its value is 11,340. 15,000 is going to be paid at the end of 1 year. So after 1 year, what is the 13,050 will have a value equivalent to 15,000. Why? Because money will lose value at the rate of 15%. So I am compounding this at the rate of 15% for 1 year. You can look at it like this. Multiplied by 1 plus 0.15 raised to 1. So you can say 13,050 multiplied by 1.15. Your answer approximately comes to 15,007.5, which I'm rounding it off to 15,000. It's as good as saying that 15,000 paid after 1 year, today it will have a value of 13,050. Ask some elderly family member at home. Ask some elderly family member at home. Tell them that you had some item in a market, you ate something. Say, for example, you ate, some street food and you paid 100 rupees for it. That same family member will tell you the fact that you paid 100 rupees when I was your age, I paid 20 rupees for it, is what he or she will say. Why? Because the value of 100 rupees today is 20 rupees those many years ago. So, what is the value of 15,000 that you are going to pay after 1 year? Today, it is 13,050. What is the value of 15,000 that you are going to pay after 2 years? Today, it is 11,340. What is the value of 15,000 that you are going to pay after 3 years? Today, it is 9870. So, what is the present value of the cash flows? These are the present values. The summation is equal to 34,260. So $45,000 or rupees paid in all has a present value of 34,260 today. And IFRS says do it at its fair value, which is the present value. That is why the entry will be recorded at 34,260. This fact that you are recording it at present value is the heart of IFRS. This is where IFRS becomes slightly shaky for people to understand.
So, sir, when we make entry for this 15,000, when we pay the 15,000, then what
I'll come to
entry
that.
we will make it?
I'll come to that. Wait and watch. I have just passed the
We
entry
have
on day
to
0 today.
show the interest.
Hold on. I have made an entry on day 0 today. Your concern is about day 365 and you will actually make that entry. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Allow me to get you there.
Okay.
Allow me to get you there. Right? I'll get you there. Hold on. Now please take a screenshot of this. Make as many stars as you want to make over here. As many as you can make, put them. I can make these many stars over here. If you can make more, good for you. Happily make it. This is a very important entry. Haripriya, are you understanding? Are you with me on that?
Yes, sir.
Have you understood the first entry?
Yes, sir.
Clear?
Yes.
Do you have any doubts?
No.
Okay. Can somebody take a screenshot, please?
Done, sir.
Now, let me go ahead. Now, please understand what has happened. Please understand what has happened. In year 1, now I'm reiterating. In year 1, how much you have to pay? You have to pay 15,000. The discounting factor is at the rate of 15%. Second year, you have to pay 15,000. The discounting factor is this much. In the third year, you have to pay 15,000. The discounting factor is this much. What is the present value? 15,000 multiplied by 0.870. What is your answer? Again, 15,000 multiplied by 0.756. What is your answer? Next, 15,000 multiplied by 0.658. What is your answer? Now, for the first time in my journey with you, I'm going to say, if you have a doubt, shut up. Trust me, I'm going to use the word shut up. Why? Understand the full story. Understand the full story. Then me ask all your doubts. Okay? I will solve all your doubts. Until then, listen to the gospel. And it's okay if you keep absolutely silent. I will live with it. Now, the first statement that I am making is 34,260 is the value today of 15,000 multiplied by 3 paid over 3 years. Second statement, this represents an asset as well as liability for the lessee. It is an asset because he will gain a right of use. It is a liability because he has to make the lease payment. IFRS says that where the tenure of an asset or a liability is defined, it is of a financial nature. Is it of a financial nature? Yes, because it involves the payment of money at defined tenures. If the life of the asset is defined, it is clearly defined 3 years. You have this right of use asset for how many years? 3 years. You have to bear this liability for how many years? 3 years. So IFRS clearly says that where the life is defined, it is a financial asset and it is going to be used for its entire tenure without any changes in it. You will perform an accounting treatment called amortization. You will perform an accounting treatment called amortization. This is laid down in IFRS 9 financial instruments. This is laid down in IFRS 9 financial instruments. All those of us working in Indian companies, you will find this in Ind AS 109 financial instrument, which is a twin brother of IFRS 9. This is a twin brother of IFRS 9. Now, please understand and appreciate the fact that this much is payable for you. Now, ask yourself a question. How many of you have ever availed a loan? Many of you might have taken loans for buying a car, a scooter, maybe a mobile phone, maybe a house, maybe for education, maybe for many purposes. Many of you have availed the loans. This is the value of the loan that you are taking today. The present value is the amount of loan that you take today. Look at it that way. So every year on the outstanding, do you or do you not pay an interest? Please tell me that. Do you or do you not pay an interest? Please tell me that. You pay an interest? Yes or no? Yes or no? Responses, please. You pay an interest?
Yes.
Guys, you pay an
Yes.
interest? Interest is paid on what? The total outstanding. What is the total outstanding? 34,260. On this, interest is paid at the rate of 15%. What is it? It is 5139. Now, what is your total liability? What is your total liability? Your total liability now will become A plus B. What is your total liability?
39,399.
Now, you are going to pay your installment. What is your installment amount? As you might have guessed it, it is 15,000. In this 15,000, there is an interest component and there is a principal component. The principal component is 5139. What is the interest component? Out of 15,000, it is 9861. At the end of the year, now you will have outstanding principal. D, E, F. E is equal to D minus B. D is always given to you in the question. F is, I'm sorry, I've written it ulta. Please forgive me for that. Yeah, now this is right. This is nothing but B. What is outstanding principal? Out of your principal, you have paid 9861. So what will I have over here? So 34,260 minus 9861. What do I get?
24,699.
I will get 24,399, correct?
699.
34,260 minus 9861. I will get 24,399. Number 2. Now, how much is the outstanding principal for me? It is 24,399. On this, I will charge an interest at the rate of 15%. That is coming to 3,660 rounded off. What is the total liability now? It is 3,660 plus 24,399. What is the answer? 28,059. I am paying an installment of how much? 15,000. In this 15,000, how much is the interest component? 3,660. So out of 15,000, subtract 3,660. What is your answer? Your answer is 11,340. So from 28,059, I'm so sorry. From 24,399, which was your principal component, subtract 11,340. What will you get? 13,059. Now for the third year, 13,059 is your outstanding principal. Don't calculate the interest. At the end, your outstanding principal is going to be 0. Your total installment is going to be the total amount that you are paying. Now that is your total liability. So your interest is going to be the difference between 13,059 and 1,500, which is 1,941. So here interest component is 1,941 minus 15,000. Here you will get 13,059, which is the same as this number. Now, please pay attention to what will happen. The initial entry will be right of use asset account debit to lease liability. What is the amount of capitalization? 34,260. This will be day 1 of year 1, also called as day 0. Day 1 of year 1, also called as day 0. Then on day 365, what will happen? On day 365, you will pay lease rent. As Maru asked, sir, what about 15,000 that I will pay? Pay it, na, shock se, pay the money. Lease expense account debit. I want to write rent expense, right? I want to write lease rental, right? All the same. Lease expense account debit to cash account. 15,000 day 365 of year 1. 15,000 day 365 of year 2. 15,000 of day 65 year 3. So the primary apprehension that an experienced accountant had with respect to the payment of 15,000, it has been taken care of. Now, what comes next? What comes next is this interest that I am taking into consideration. It has to be recognized as an expense for the lessee. This expense results in the lease liability increasing. So what is the entry that you will pass? The entry that you will pass very simply is going to be interest expense account debit to lease liability. For year 1, 5,139. For year 2, 3,660. For year 3, 1,941. The lease liability has increased. Now to stay attuned with accounting, I am going to change this word to the word. To stay attuned with accounting, I am going to change this word with the word lease liability. Please understand that your lease liability at the end of year 1 or at the beginning of year 1, which continues to be the end, was 34,360 plus 5139. Yes, it was that. You made a payment of 15,000 to reduce that lease liability, and now that lease liability has come down to 24,399. At the end of year 2, your lease liability was a total of 34,260 plus 5139, 34,260 plus 5139 minus 15,000, which came to 13,059. Don't get confused when I say minus 15,000. You will say, but you have written 11,340. Yes, do the whole arithmetical calculation. Here, the impact of this is nothing but 28,059 minus 15,000. Do over here 28,059 minus 15,000. How much you get? Write it properly, write it neatly. Minus 15,000. How much you get? 059, 8 minus 5, 3, 2 minus 1, 1. 13,059. This is not black magic. This is just mathematics. In this, there was an element of principal plus interest. Yes, Pushkar, there was. 28,059 came because I added an interest and I added a principal aspect to it. I am interested only in the principal aspect. Okay, keep only principal aspect, 24,399. Then when you are subtracting, subtract only the principal aspect, 11,340. That is absolutely okay. Understanding? 13,059. Now, the challenge is every year, since it is an asset, it has to be subjected to amortization or depreciation. So that depreciation is going to be charged. So it will be depreciation account debit to right of use asset. This right of use asset will be depreciated or amortized over the lease period, that is 3 years. So 34,260 divided by 3 gives me the answer 11,420. So that is my annual depreciation. That is the annual depreciation. Please keep that much in mind. Please keep that much in mind. Next, interest and depreciation are revenue statement items. Therefore, they have to be posted to the revenue statement every year. What will be posted to the revenue statement every year? You will say P&L account debit to depreciation to interest. How much depreciation? 11,420 for 3 years. How much interest? 5139, 3660, 1941. You can take the total of this here. So 11,420 plus 5139 gives you how much? 16,559. 11,420 plus 3660 gives you how much? 15,080. 11,420 plus 1941 gives you how much? 13,361. This is the hit that goes to your P&L. And the accounting is completed for 3 years. The accounting is completed for 3 years. This interest expense, I agree, is a notional interest expense. Why is this taken into consideration? For fair value as per IFRS. Depreciation is a must because any asset you capitalize, you have to write it off over its useful life. The useful life of the right of use asset is the lease tenure. So then why did you give us this confusing statement? Why did you give us this confusing statement that the lease tenure is 3 years, but the life of the asset is 5 years? My dear friend, who is the owner of the asset? The lessor. The lessor will depreciate it for 5 years. How long are you using the asset as the lessee? 3 years. You will depreciate it for 3 years. There is no rule that says that the depreciation of lessor is equal to lessee. That statement makes no sense whatsoever. It's a stupid statement. Please understand what I'm trying to say. Are you with me? Yes or no? Are you with me? Yes or no, guys?
Can you explain journal entry again?
Which journal entry?
Lease liability, interest expense.
I'll come to that. Let me hear the other doubt. Yeah, Maruf?
सर जैसे अभी ये लेसी जो है वो 3 इयर्स तक डेप्रिसिएशन चार्ज करेगा. असेट वैल्यू 5 इयर्स है. तो जो लेसर
ऐसी किस
है
पर डेप्रिसिएशन चार्ज करेगा, पहले वो आइडेंटिफाई कीजिए. लेसी राइट ऑफ यूज एसेट पे डेप्रिसिएशन चार्ज करेगा, लेसर कोर एसेट पे डेप्रिसिएशन चार्ज करेगा।
तो वो भी 5 इयर्स कंटिन्यू करेगा मतलब
लेसर 5 इयर्स के लिए लेगा, लेसी 3 इयर्स के लिए लेगा। मैंने आपको मेरी मोटरसाइकिल 3 साल इस्तेमाल करने के लिए दे दी, आपका हक उसे यूज करने का कितने सालों का बना? 3 साल का।
साल।
मेरी मोटरसाइकिल का लाइफ कितना है? 6 साल। मैं डेप्रिसिएशन कितने साल का लूंगा? 6 साल का। आप डेप्रिसिएशन
6
कितने
साल।
साल का लेंगे? 3 साल का।
3 साल।
क्योंकि आप उसे
ठीक।
इस्तेमाल करने का हक फरमा रहे हो और मैं उस पे मेरे मालिकी का हक फरमा रहा हूं, इसमें फर्क है। मैं उस चीज का मालिक हूं और आप उस चीज को इस्तेमाल करने के मालिक है। इसे कहते हैं सब्सटेंस ओवर फॉर्म अकाउंटिंग, विच मेक्स आईएफआरएस द बेस्ट गैप इन द वर्ल्ड टुडे।
ओके।
Substance over form. You go to the depths of it. What is the depth of it? You are using my motorcycle. You are the owner of the right to use the motorcycle, not the motorcycle. Who owns the motorcycle? I own the motorcycle. Who owns the right to use that motorcycle? Maruf Khan owns the right to use the motorcycle. How many years? 3 years. So he'll depreciate that right by 3 years. Who owns the motorcycle? I own it. I will depreciate it for 6 years. Understanding?
Yes, sir.
Alok, yeah, what do you need?
Sir, interest calculation.
What is the present value of the asset? 34,260. Did you understand how to arrive on this?
Yes, sir.
Okay. If it is an asset, it is also a liability. Asset has to be equal to liability in the beginning. Keep
Yes, sir.
responding. Stay on unmute. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. A liability will attract interest
Yes, sir.
every year.
Yes, sir.
Rate of interest is given to you.
Sir, this
How
is
much
the
is your rate of interest? It is given in the question. 15%.
Okay, sir.
Okay. On your liability, charge a 15% interest. What is the amount?
513.
Liability plus interest is equal to total liability.
Yes, sir.
What is
Sir,
the
this is
total
for-
liability? Read the number.
Sir, this is for 3 years now.
Yes, I am talking about year 1 right now. How will you do the 3-year calculation in 1 year? Every year you will do accounts, or you will do it once only in 3 years?
Once only.
Once only.
So after the payment, we have to do na.
You are paying rent every year.
Yes, sir. After paying the rent, I have to do the entry.
Yes, so this is on the last day of the year. You will do that every year or only in 1 year?
Every year after the payment.
Why are you saying only 1 year? You will do it for 3 years?
Yes, sir.
This is the first year. What was the outstanding at the beginning of the year? Come on.
34260.
On that interest was charged at how much percentage? Stay on unmute, Alok. I am speaking with you. I need your responses. Stay on unmute.
Yes, sir. 15%.
What is the interest?
5139.
What is the total liability?
39399.
How much installment, that is rent, are you paying?
15,000.
This will be principal plus interest because you have to return both. You have to return some part of this and some part of this.
Yes, sir.
Every year interest has to be paid in full.
Yes, sir.
So this has interest of how much in it? 5139. So out of 15,000, interest is how much?
5139.
How much is principal?
Uh,
How much is principal?
9861.
9861 is principal. It will be adjusted against principal only.
Yes, sir.
Adjusted against principal. What is the outstanding principal?
24399.
Agreed or disagreed? Alternatively,
agreed,
you
sir.
can get 24,399 by directly subtracting 15,000 from 39,399.
The 24399 is the amount which is due.
It is the outstanding liability at the end of the first year.
Yeah, understood.
The same process you will replicate over 2 years. The only catch is in the third year, it has to become equal. So you don't calculate 15%. You take this as the balancing figure.
Okay,
That's
sir.
the only
Understood.
catch.
Yes, sir.
No, it is not the same asset. It is not the same asset that you're charging depreciation for. You have a scooter, you are allowing me to use it. What is my asset? The right to use the scooter. स्कूटर को इस्तेमाल करने का हक मेरा एसेट है और स्कूटर आपका एसेट है. ये दो अलग एसेट एक ही एसेट में से निकल के आ गए. मेरा लैपटॉप मैं आपको देता हूं इस्तेमाल करने के लिए. इस्तेमाल करने के लिए आपका एसेट क्या है दिव्या? एसेट को इस्तेमाल करना, वो हक आपका एसेट है. दैट राइट इज योर एसेट. Notice the word. What is the word that I'm using? Right of use asset. I am depreciating the right of use, not the asset. I am depreciating the right of using the asset, not the asset. Have I used the word asset account debit?
Well,
Have I
it
used
will
the word
come
asset account
under
debit? No. I am using
tangible
the word
asset, right?
right of use asset.
Sir, it will come under tangible asset.
It IFRS, International Accounting Standard Board (IASB) has not yet clarified what kind of asset a right of use asset is, whether it is a tangible or whether it is an intangible. It stands as a third class and category of assets on the face of the balance sheet, and it's rightly so.
So
It is not just tangible, it is not just intangible. It gives you the intangible right to use a tangible asset. So it's a hybrid. You can't call it a tangible or you can't call it an intangible. Most people said that it is an intangible, so it should be amortized. But people said that although it is intangible, you're using a tangible asset at the end of the day, like an office space or a car or a computer or a machine or an aeroplane or a telecommunication tower. It's a tangible thing. You can touch it. You can go and touch a telecom tower, or touch an aeroplane, or touch a car, or touch a premises, or touch a machine. So it's a hybrid basically. That's why right of use asset in its own self
So
is a
where
different class altogether.
in balance sheet where we will show these?
In the balance sheet, it will be shown under long-term assets. Under long-term assets, it will have a separate line item for itself. Like how under long-term assets, you have property, plant and equipment, intangible assets. The third line item in case of leases will be right of use asset.
Okay.
In case you are a lessee. In case you are a lessee. You as a lessee are not depreciating the asset, merely the right of using it. आपने एसेट को यूज करने का हक खरीदा है. हक. आप उस हक को, उस राइट को डेप्रिशिएट कर रहे हो, बल्कि एसेट की प्राइमरी टाइटल, मालकी, ओनरशिप तो ओनर के पास मतलब लेसर के पास ही रहती है. तो ओनर एसेट को डेप्रिशिएट करता है और आप एसेट को इस्तेमाल करने के हक को डेप्रिशिएट करते हो. ये अपने आप में दो अलग चीजें एक एसेट से बन के आती.
सर ये amortization और depreciation दोनों तो सेम है ना?
नहीं, एमोर्टाइजेशन के टेबल में कहीं भी डेप्रिसिएशन का जिक्र नहीं हुआ है. एमोर्टाइजेशन सिर्फ इंटरेस्ट को एडजस्ट करने के लिए किया जाता है, पर जबकि डेप्रिसिएशन प्योरली कॉस्ट ऑफ द एसेट पे किया जाता है.
सर दिस डेप्रिसिएशन लेसर और लेसी दोनों भी इसका एडवांटेज ले सकते हैं, राइट?
Yes,
इन
it
केस
is a
ऑफ द
tax deductible item for
लेसर.
both the lesser and the lessee. It is a
Okay, तो
tax
in case of
deductible item for both the lesser and the lessee.
ओके, सो इन केस ऑफ लेसर वो 5 years तक डेप्रिसिएशन जो
Yes,
भी है वो चार्ज करके लेगा, और इन
yes,
केस ऑफ लेसी इट विल बी 3 years
yes. Both of them
as per
will
the
be
right to
charging
use of the asset.
depreciation on this under section 32 subsection 1 of the Indian Income Tax Act of 1961 under Ind AS 116.
ओके.
सर ये amortization और depreciation में क्या difference है बता सकते हो?
Amortization is charged on an intangible asset. I'm sorry, what? Amortization, na?
Yes sir.
Amortization schedule and amortization per se are different. Amortization schedule under IFRS 9 is for interest calculation. Amortization on an intangible asset is for writing of the cost of the intangible asset. Intangible assets अपनी प्रॉपर्टीज, अपनी खूबियां अलग अलग होती है, तो जब उसको राइट ऑफ करेंगे तो उसको डेप्रिसिएशन या अल्फाज यूज नहीं कर सकते, तो इसीलिए उसको एक नया अल्फाज इजाद किया, वो था एमोर्टाइजेशन. और टेंजिबल एसेट अपने आप में इंटेंजिबल एसेट से अलग खूबियां, अलग खामियां रखता है, तो उसको राइट ऑफ करने के लिए एक अल्फाज इन्वेंट किया, उसको बोला जाता है डेप्रिसिएशन. दैट्स अबाउट इट.
मतलब लेकिन दोनों का सेम हो रहा है
मतलब
ना?
एक ही है दोनों का. मतलब एक ही है दोनों का.
समझ गया सर.
Any doubts? I understand that it's a complicated concept. I don't expect you to pick it up just like that immediately. I'll do 1 or 2 questions. You will be able to pick up the calculation then. Please take a screenshot of this. Please take a screenshot of this. And I'll do one more numerical with you. Is it taken? Screenshot? Is it taken? Is the screenshot taken?
Yes, sir.
This is your question. Now you will pay attention. Don't calculate anything. If you are calculating, only calculate those items that I am asking you to calculate on the calculator. Excuse me. Only calculate those items that I am asking you to calculate on the calculator. Are you ready? Shall I begin? Shall I begin? I want everybody's involvement. Are you with me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Step number 1. Now suddenly, Pushkar, you are talking steps. Yes, I showed you the concept. Now that concept, I will break it down into steps. Pay attention. Step number 1. Calculate present value of lease payments using discount factor. Discount factor is given in the question. Year 1, 2, 3. What is the payment?
The 14,000.
Last question is fresh in my mind. So discount factor at 15 years. 1 divided by 1.15. How much? 0.870. 1 divided by 1.15. First equal to gives you 0.870. Press equal to again, it will give you 0.756. Press equal to again, it will give you 0.658. Calculate the present value. Payment multiplied by discount factor is equal to present value. So 14,000 multiplied by 0.870. What is your answer? 12180. 14,000 multiplied by 0.756. What is the answer? 10584. 14,000 multiplied by 0.658. What is the answer? 9212. There is another way of calculating this. I am just writing it down and I will discuss it with you in the next lecture when we are doing 1100 for MCQs of leases. It is multiplied by present value annuity factor of 14% for 3 years. Essentially, I am just explaining you a concept. I want you to pay attention. A multiplied by C, A multiplied by D, and A multiplied by E. Sir, why are you saying this? 14,000 multiplied by 0.870, 14,000 multiplied by 0.756, and 14,000 multiplied by 0.658. These are all the same numbers, so I will call them A. A multiplied by C, A multiplied by D, and A multiplied by E is equal to AC is equal to AD is equal to AE. What is the total of this? AC plus AD plus AE. My dear friends, this can also be written as A into bracket C plus D plus E. So technically, if you take the total of these three and multiply it just by A, you will get the same answer. So if I was to do by doing present value annuity factor, I will be taking the total of these three and calculating this number directly on my calculator and arriving directly on the figure 12180 plus 10584 plus 9212, giving me the total 31,976. However, I am not doing that today to avoid your confusion and to avoid any other doubts coming in this calculation. Because I can understand that when a larger mathematical calculation comes into the picture, students tend to feel a little bit of pressure, and my job is to relieve that rather than to add on to it. So when we come to that phase, I will do that with you. Rest assured. Rest assured. Even Haripriya, you rest assured. I will teach you how to do it. Don't worry about it.
Yes.
This is step number 1. Here, what is this calculation of present value of lease? On the basis of this step number 1, can I pass the first journal entry, which is right of use asset account debit to lease liability? Can this entry be passed? Yes, it can be passed. How do you spell liability? Sorry. Liability. I'm sorry, I can't form spellings in my head. Right? This is on day 1 of year 1. This is on day 1 of year 1. Now, last day of year 1. What is the life of this right of use asset? 3 years. Now, you tell me one thing. Haripriya, tell me one thing. There is a machine that you have taken on rent. Machine and right to use machine, are they the same thing?
Yes.
Are they the same thing? The machine and the right to use the machine, are they the same thing?
No, sir.
Who will depreciate the machine? The lessor, the
Yes, sir.
owner. Who will depreciate the right to use the machine? The lessee. Am I clear?
Yes.
This will be over life of the asset. And this will be over the lease tenure. Yes or no?
Yes.
Clear? Please
Yes,
take a
sir.
screenshot of this. Please take a screenshot of this right now. Do it, please. This here is the most important concept for people who have a doubt ki are we depreciating the same asset in 2 different books at 2 different rates and 2 different periods? No, we are not. There is a machine and there is a right to use that machine. Divya, is your doubt clarified?
Sir, yes, I think in this concept of right to use, are we going to capitalize the amount also in the books?
Of course, yes. Right
Okay,
to
then-
use asset
then
account
clear.
debit shows that you have capitalized it. That is the
Then
entry of
okay.
capitalization.
ठीक है, then clear.
Yes? Now, screenshot is taken, right?
Yes, sir.
Day 1, year 1. Divya asks a pertinent doubt. Are we going to capitalize it? So for her, let us capitalize it. Is this your balance sheet? Yes. Right of use asset. On the asset side, 31,976. Lease liability on the liability side, 31,976. Divya, convinced? I capitalized it for you.
No, actually, sir, I was not very attentive during the starting of the session and I missed all these
That
topics.
is okay. Are you
Yeah, now it's
understanding
clear.
this now? What is gone is gone. You understanding this?
Yes, actually,
I
I
got
was
it into my
thinking,
asset side and I got it onto my liability side. Is that
Right.
clear?
yes, correct.
You have capitalized it. So that doubt that you had, is that solved
Mhm.
now?
Yes,
Now in the lessor's books, on the asset side, you will find machine. And on the
Right.
lessee's books, you will find right of use of asset.
Mhm.
Different
Agreed.
assets.
Yes,
It's a brilliant doubt. Is it clarified?
yes, sir.
I'll go ahead now.
Thank you.
On the last day of year 1, I will charge a depreciation. On what?
Right of
The
use.
right of use asset. I will depreciate it over a 3-year period. So 31,976 will be depreciated for 3 years. What is the entry? It will be 10659. I will take 10659. Is that okay if I take 10659? Right? I'm rounding it off. I'm making partitions here because the depreciation will be given every year. Now, the main calculation, the amortization calculation. I want students to answer. I'm going to be very strict. Haripriya, tell me what is the opening balance of lease liability?
31,970.
Perfect answer. On this, interest will be charged at the rate of how much, Haripriya?
15%.
Very good. Calculate and give me the answer.
4,790.
4,000. 4,796. Agreed? Yes or no? Yes. Now, Haripriya, tell me, this interest, will it increase your liability? Yes or no? Please tell me that.
Yes, sir. It will increase the
Can I add over your interest in the liability side of the balance sheet?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What will be my total liability now?
36,772.
36,772,
72.
na?
Yes,
Okay. How much installment am I paying, Haripriya?
14,000.
Very good answer. This 15,000 is a combination of what? Principal as well as interest.
Yes.
Sir,
How much is
14,000.
interest?
Installment 14,000.
How much is interest?
Installment is 14,000, sir.
Oh,
Interest is
installment is 14,000. Sorry. I'm sorry. I don't know why I'm writing 15,000. So this is a combination of principal as well as interest.
yes, sir.
How much is interest?
4,790.
Very good. What is principal?
9,204.
Sorry.
9,204. 9,200.
Correct. Now what is the outstanding principal? What minus what? Does this have any element of interest, Haripriya? No, it does not.
No interest. Principal.
Yes, this is principal plus interest. This is principal plus interest. This is only principal. This is only interest. Outstanding principal is again only principal. Am I clear about this?
Yes, sir. 22,770.
31,976 minus 9,204. What is your answer?
22,772.
772. Now from this 36,772, I request that you directly subtract your installment of 14,000 rupees. What will you get? You will also get how much? Tell me. 22,772. How did I get this? Because 14,000 is a combination of principal plus interest and total liability is a combination of principal plus interest. I will knock them out. Interest will cancel itself. Principal will cancel itself. And what will be left is outstanding principal only. My dear students, 36,772. Write it like this. Write it like this. 31,976 plus 4,796. Write down 14,000 like this in your heads. Write it like this. 9,204 plus 4,796. Subtract against each other. 22,772 is left. How much will be left over here? How much will be left over here? 22,772 will be left over here. And how much? 0. Interest will cancel itself. Principal will cancel itself against principal. This is excess of outstanding principal. This right here is a very important calculation. Take a screenshot of this. This is clarification to the core. This is clarification to the core. Please take a screenshot of this. Take a screenshot of this. Is it taken? Hurry up.
Yes, sir.
Correct? Second year. Haripriya, what is the opening balance of lease liability?
22,772.
Have I completed the accounting, Haripriya? No, reprimand me. Tell me, Pushkar, pass the entry. Okay, last day of year 1. Haripriya, what entry I will pass now? Interest?
Interest expense account debit to
Interest
lease,
expense account debit.
to lease liability.
Very good. To what?
Lease liability.
Answer me one thing. Lease liability in itself has what balance?
Credit liability.
Here again, I am increasing its what balance? So because of this interest expense of the first year, which is 4,796, should my lease liability increase or decrease? It should increase. Liability has credit balance. I am crediting my liability further. So will my liability balance increase? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Look here, it has increased. The liability has become 36,772. Accounts. Pure accounts. Credit, higher credit. Pure accounts. Are you with me on that?
Yes, sir.
Pure accounting debit credit. Next. 22,772. This is your outstanding. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, in the first year, what all entries are pending? You have to pay the rent, yes or no? Pay the rent. What is the entry for paying the rent? Payment of rent will reduce the liability or increase the liability?
Reduce the liability.
So if the liability is being reduced, now can I debit the liability?
Yes, sir. Lease liability account debit to cash. Further.
By how much should I reduce the liability?
14,000.
Look on the liability side of the balance sheet. Has it been reduced by 14,000?
Yes, sir.
Liability, you started off by writing it as how much? 31,976. Agreed or disagreed? I put a tick mark here. Agreed?
Yes,
Then you increase the liability by 4,796. I
yes.
added interest. Agreed or disagreed?
Agreed.
Then I reduced the liability by 14,000. Agreed or disagreed? What is
Yes.
the closing balance?
22,000.
22,772. Correct?
Yes,
Is this 22,772 hashtag the same as this hashtag?
yes, sir.
Does everybody understand how we have linked everything together in the accounting base? Tanna, Lokesh, Rohit, Alok, Ubli,
Yes, sir.
Alnur, everyone, Dipanshu, Sheetal, are you understanding this?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Lokesh,
Yes, sir.
are you understanding?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Haripriya, continue. Calculate interest for year 2. What is your answer?
3416.
Is it 22,772 multiplied by 15%?
Yes.
How much it is?
3,416.
3,415.
15.8.
0.8. Can I write 3416?
Yes, sir.
With this interest, will the liability increase?
Yes, sir.
How much now will the liability be? 3416 plus 22,772? Will it be 26,188?
138.
3416 plus 22,772. 26,188. Check. Yeah, 26,188. 8,
Yes, sir.
7
Yes.
plus 4, 11, carry over 1, 3 plus 2, 5
Yes.
plus 1, 6. 26,188.
Yes.
Clear?
Yes, sir.
My dear friend, have you increased the liability value?
Yes.
Have you indirectly passed the entry interest expense account debit to lease liability to the amount 3416?
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
What is the installment you are paying?
14,000.
14.
Out of this 14, how much is your interest, Haripriya?
3,400.
14,000 minus 3416. What is your principal?
10,580.
Perfect. Calculate outstanding principal and say it this way. Give me the dictation like this. I'm your article clerk. Give me the dictation like this. Come on.
22,770.
Perfect. Perfect. Minus what?
10,580.
Perfect. 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 What am I left with?
12,180.
Perfect. 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 Can I make the payment of the installment?
Yes, sir.
Chalo, how much I have to pay? Is
21.
this the same as hashtag over here?
12,180. Sorry.
12,188. Sorry, stupid mistake.
Yes.
Is this the same as hashtag over here?
Yes, sir.
Correct?
Yes.
What is my closing asset value now? 31,976 minus 10,659. How much I will get? 21,317. Again for the depreciation of year 2, how much I will charge?
10,650.
How much will I be left with? Obviously 10,659 only. 658 will come.
Yes.
What is the depreciation of year 2? 10,659. 10,659. 10,659. Lease liability account debit to cash. Can I or can I not pass this entry of 14,000? Yes or no?
Yes.
And every year I have to transfer everything to P&L. So P&L account debit to what? To depreciation to interest.
Yes.
How much is depreciation for the year 1?
10,000.
10,659. For the year 2, 10,659. Interest for the year 1, 4,796. Interest for the year 2, 3,416. So 10,659 plus 4,796. How much? 15,455 plus 3,416. This will be 14,075. Correct?
Yes.
Accounting is completed. Both the years I have made the payment. Nothing
Yes.
is incomplete in accounts. Now my last year. Last year, tell me what is the opening balance of lease liability?
12,180.
Will you calculate or will you take only balancing figure?
Balancing figure.
What is the total liability amount?
14,000.
Very good. What is the installment amount?
14,000.
14,000. 14,000 minus 12,188. How much you will get?
1812.
Very good. Will this increase your lease liability?
Yes.
What is your lease liability now?
15,000.
Minus installment. How much is that?
15,000.
What is left now?
Nil balance.
Hashtag. So 1812, 12,188. Outstanding 12,188 minus
12,180.
nil. For the third year, can I make the payment? Yes, I made the payment. Can I write down the interest expense? Yes.
180.
Can I write down the depreciation? Yes. Have I given in balance sheet? No. Let me give. What is the value of the asset now at the end of year 3?
Nil balance.
What is the value of the liability at the end of year 3?
0.
Asset is equal to liability at the starting of the year. At the starting of the year, asset is equal to liability. At the ending of the year also, asset is equal to liability. Yes or no?
Yes.
Balance sheet is satisfied?
Yes.
P&L satisfaction. 10,659. 10,659 plus 1,812.
12,471.
471.
Yes. Sir.
Lease accounting as per IFRS is over. Does everybody understand the concept now? Does everybody understand the concept now? Lease accounting as per IFRS 16. Yes or no? Clear? Hello?
Yeah.
Lokesh, clear?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Hubli.
Hello, sir. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Sir, can you explain the journal entry part? Just the journal entry part. once
Which
again?
journal entry you would like to understand?
Sir, from the first, sir.
Asset is coming in your books, beta. Will
Yes,
you
sir.
debit it or credit it?
I'll debit it, sir.
Very good answer. What is the name of the asset? What is the name
No.
of the asset? Read over there. Right of use asset. Correct?
Yes, sir.
So right of use asset account debit. Liability is being recognized. Will you debit it or will you credit it? Liability. What balance liability has?
Credit balance.
Credit balance. Asset has debit balance. Liability has debit balance. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Asset has debit balance. Liability has credit balance. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Asset account debit to liability should be your entry.
Yes, sir.
Look over there. Right of use asset account debit to lease liability. Is the
Yes, sir.
first entry understood?
Understood, sir.
Second entry. Depreciation increases the value of the asset or decreases the value of the asset.
Decreases the value of asset.
Therefore, asset has to be debited or credited when depreciation is being passed. Credited, no?
Credited. Yes, sir.
So we have
Credited.
credited the right of use asset and a depreciation I debited. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Expense is increasing the liability value. Debit all expenses and losses.
Yes, sir.
I debited interest expense. Liability has what balance?
Credit balance.
It will increase. I increase the liability balance. Look here. And 4796, follow the screen. It is a part of interest also. I'll make a green dot. I'll make a green dot for you. Focus on the green dot. Can you see this green dot, beta?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Look at this green dot over here. Let's
Yes,
use
sir.
colors. You will understand better. Second year again interest is happening.
Yes,
Two
sir.
green dots. See over here beta. Two green dots. Third year, three green dots. Can you see three green dots?
Yes,
See
sir.
over here beta. Three green dots. Understood?
Understood, sir.
Interest is an expense. Debit all expenses and losses. Yes or no? Please tell me that.
Yes, sir.
Liability increased. I will credit the liability or what I will do?
Uh,
Credit it. No, liability balance is increasing. I have to credit it. What option do I have?
yes, sir.
Correct. So I credited the liability. I debited the expense. What is the entry? Please read out the entry on the green tick mark. What is the entry?
Interest expense account debit to lease liability.
Fantastic. Every year, if I pay the liability, will my liability reduce or will my liability increase?
Liability
Will reduce
increase.
if I'm paying it.
Yes, sir.
Follow the downward blue arrow every year. Downward blue arrow. Is my liability reduced because of the downward blue arrow?
Yes, sir.
Every year. By how much? By how
By
much?
14,000.
Perfect. Liability is reducing. Liability will be debited.
Yes, sir.
How is liability reduced? By paying what? Cash. Cash is
Cash.
coming in or going out?
It's going out.
Credit what goes out? Golden rules of accounting. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Liability reduction debit. Credit was goes out. Cash. Understood?
Understood, sir.
Can I put a blue tick mark against this?
Yes, sir.
Depreciation and interest are expenses. They have to be debited to P&L.
Yes, sir.
Basically, in your P&L account, you write over here, na, 2 depreciation and 2 interest.
Yes, sir.
What is the journal entry? P&L account debit 2 depreciation and interest. No, Raja.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Every year's interest and every year's depreciation I have transferred. 4796, 4796. Follow the yellow dot. Follow the yellow dot. Correct? Every year's
Yes, sir.
depreciation and every year's interest has been transferred. Follow the yellow dot.
Yes,
3416,
sir.
3416. 1812, 1812. 10659, 10659. Have you understood?
Understood, sir.
What is the entry? Read the yellow tick mark entry.
A profit and loss account debit to depreciation account to interest
Will
account.
they not be charged to revenue as the chartered accountants and the CMS call it? What is the meaning of charging to revenue? Debiting the P&L and putting the expense over there. You have done it successfully. Yellow tick mark. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Finished. Understood?
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Understood, sir.
No, okay. Have you understood?
Yes, sir.
Are you sure?
100%.
Are you lying?
No, sir.
Huh?
No, sir.
Anybody else with doubts? Anybody else with doubts? Navya? Any doubts? Rasika?
No, sir.
Rasika, Rachita, any doubts? Alnur, Maruf, Rohit, Navya, Tanna, Divya, Dipanshu, Sheetal.
No, sir.
Any doubts?
No, sir.
No, sir. No, sir.
Preeti Sharma had joined the meeting, but I think she has serious network issues at Himachal Pradesh because of the climate. And today it was raining very heavily in Mumbai that I know of. Raining very heavily today. So it's possible it must have rained over there also. Can't say. Okay. Screenshots. Screenshots. Screenshots.
Taken, sir.
Taken. This is your asset treatment as per IFRS. Now, Haripriya, tell me, have you understood this?
Yes,
Are you sure?
100%.
Haripriya, leases are of two types, operating and financial.
Okay.
Financial leases are of two types, sales type lease and direct financing lease.
Okay.
A direct financing lease is a financing lease and a sale type lease is also a finance lease.
Okay.
The treatment continues to be as a finance lease only. For a lessee, the treatment, all this continues to be the same. Are you with me?
Yes.
Lesser treatment that you have learned in accounting standard 19 continues to be the same at your inter CMA level, inter ICWA. Clear?
Yes. Sir.
Yes, Maruf.
ये ऑपरेटिंग लीज है जो आपने बताया या फाइनेंस?
दोनों, लेसी के लिए ये दोनों सेम रहेगा। लेसी के लिए ऑपरेटिंग लीज और फाइनेंशियल लीज में कोई पर्दा नहीं रहा। लेसी के लिए ऑपरेटिंग लीज और फाइनेंशियल लीज अब एक ही बन चुके हैं, क्योंकि दोनों में उसे राइट ऑफ यूज एसेट रिकग्नाइज करना है। फाइनेंस लीज में सिर्फ राइट ऑफ यूज एसेट रिकग्नाइज करने का 10 ईयर ज्यादा होगा। यहाँ पे ऑपरेटिंग लीज होने के नाते ये 3 साल है, फाइनेंस लीज होता तो ये 30 साल के लिए आप कैलकुलेशन करते। आप बोलोगे 30 साल पेपर पे, एब्सोल्युटली नॉट, यू हैव स्पेशलाइज्ड अकाउंटिंग सॉफ्टवेयर फॉर इट। एग्जाम में और क्या ऐड हो सकता है इस क्वेश्चन में? और कुछ नहीं ऐड हो सकता है। दैट्स ऑल। दिस इज द toughest variety that can come in the exam. I have purposely taken and explained you with the toughest variety. In the exam, they'll ask you stupid questions like what will be the journal entry, what is year 1 interest, what is year 2 interest. They'll ask you stuff like that. We have done the entire working blown up. Understood, Alnur?
So these operating and financing both are.
I'm sorry?
You explained today operating and financing list.
These differences, yes, I'm coming to that. Don't worry about it. I'm coming to the differences. At the present moment, have you understood this? Because there is no difference for the lessee between operating and financing leases. This is the treatment for both. Clear? But what was this? This was leasing under IFRS. Under US GAAP, there is a difference. Under US GAAP, there is a difference. Are we ready to take a look at that difference now under US GAAP?
Yes.
Are we ready to take a look at that difference now under US GAAP? Yes or no?
Yes.
All right. With your permission, can I rub the lease amortization schedule downstairs? Can I rub it? Because all the necessary calculations are there on our screen. Can I rub this downstairs? Can I rub it, please? Yes? Is
Yes,
it
sir.
okay? I want to show everything in one slide only so that you will be able to appreciate the difference. Now, when two economies are of a different shape and size, the requirements that they have from their accountancy will be different. It must be appreciated that America today is a mega economy. The kind of disclosures that it needs for its shareholders, the way it does its accounting is different from the way the Europeans do it. India follows behind United Kingdom because, of course, we were a colony for 150 years. So our accounts is mostly like British accounts, English accounts. But Indian accounting in itself has got its own beautiful way of expressing itself. And I find it the best gap today. Ind AS is probably, well, derived from IFRS, the best gap. But now look at how the Americans do it. The Americans say the following. Now we are looking at it under US GAAP. My dear friends, what was this? This was IFRS. Now let's look at US GAAP. The initial entry stays the same. The initial entry stays the same. Now comes the next entry. Right? You have done the lease liability, lease expense. Next entry. The Americans do not charge depreciation and interest. The Americans do not charge depreciation and interest. What do the Americans do? The Americans merely capitalize 31,976. The Americans merely capitalized 31,976. Unlike the Europeans, who are the IFRS guys, the Americans just write off the basic value, keeping their life very simple. US GAAP keeps life simple for the user. And every year, 10,659 is deducted from the value of the asset. Every year, 10,659 is deducted from the value of the life of the asset. From the value of the asset. That's about it. There is no tension in US GAAP. It is very easy and a child's play compared to IFRS. It's a child's play compared to IFRS. Same entry in the initial, this stays same under IFRS. Notice under IFRS, you charge this to lease liability. Interest expense is charged to lease liability. Lease liability is reduced when cash is going out. Here, lease expense is a pure P&L item. And lease liability is written off and right to use asset is written off. Liability in itself has a credit balance. So the credit item is debited and the debit item is credited to write off the impact. That's all. That's all. That's the end of US GAAP accounting for leasing.
So then इसमें तो expense खड़ा रह जाएगा ना फिर P&L में.
So इसमें नहीं हो रहा है.
Lease
P&L
expense
account
use
debit to
कर रहे हो.
depreciation और interest क्या है? वो क्या है? P&L में आप P&L को डेबिट करते हो तो वो क्या होता है मोनिका? एक्सपेंस नहीं होता है?
हाँ.
तो फिर
तो expense खड़ा हो जाएगा ना हम अगर.
एक्सपेंस है ना. तुम लीज भर रहे हो कि नहीं भर रहे हो?
हाँ उसमें हम लोग सेट ऑफ कर रहे थे ना IFRS में.
कहाँ पे सेट ऑफ किया बताइए?
लीज लायबिलिटी यूज कर रहे थे ना.
सेट ऑफ थोड़ी ना किया. सेट ऑफ मीन्स राइटिंग ऑफ फ्रॉम द बुक्स. वेयर आर वी राइटिंग ऑफ फ्रॉम द बुक्स? वी इंक्रीज द लायबिलिटी एंड देन पे ऑफ द लायबिलिटी. You are trying to say that interest is adjusted against the liability. Yes, interest increases the liability. I increase the liability, then I put the interest where it belongs. P&L debit. Here, I am not putting any interest and depreciation only.
ओके तो हमें क्वेश्चन में मेंशन करेगा ना गैप
Of
पे क्या
course.
है फर्क.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course, they will ask you what is the treatment under IFRS, what is the treatment under US GAAP. Of course, how can they just assume like that?
Mhm.
Of course, it will be told.
Yeah.
Yes or no? Understood, everybody? The main challenge is understanding IFRS. US GAAP is child's play. Are you with me?
Yes sir.
Had I explained US GAAP first, you would have still been struggling with IFRS. Because the question of an amortization schedule does not arise only under US GAAP. Under US GAAP, it's all rainbows, daisies, candies, and unicorns. IFRS is the tough boy here. Are you with me? Do we understand this? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Please take a screenshot. Now this, you take a printout and paste it on your door, your wall, your study table, wherever you are sitting to study. You paste this printout. This will finish your lease calculation. Look at it every day for 5 minutes. In 2 to 3 days, it will stay glued in your mind. Are you with me on that?
Yes.
Okay. Screenshot is taken?
Yes, sir. Take it.
Okay. Let's move ahead. 1 second. Screenshot taken?
Yes, sir.
Question number 21 onwards in Becker, question number 21 onwards in Becker is your lease. Right? Which of the following situations would require that a lessor not book a lease as an operating lease under US GAAP? The lease does not contain a written purchase option. The lessor is able to predict the collectability. The lease term represents 80% of the economic life. The lessor is unsure about the reimbursable cost that may be incurred in the near future. Now, the first item. Sorry, 1 second. I'm having a net issue, it seems. Would require that the lessor not book a lease as an operating lease. Now, please understand. You need to understand the classification of operating and financial leases over here. Now, 1 second. Operating lease is equal to present. This should be the answer. Just hold on 1 second. Which of the following statement regarding the lessors accounting under an operating lease is more accurate? Lessors is more accurate. Is a security deposit is booked. Security deposit is booked. 24. Ignore 25. This should be. Sorry, what is this? All of the criteria except. Okay, this is except. Now here, this is what we have to see. This is what we have to see. Everybody pay attention to this. This is what I was looking for. In the lease contract, if any one of these exists, any one of whom 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 exists, then the lease is a finance lease. Otherwise, what is it? It is an operating lease. First, the title will transfer from the lessor to the lessee at the end of the lease term. So can I say number 1, ownership or title transfer? Yes or no, please tell me. If this exists, lease will become, what will it become? Finance lease. What is the first point? Ownership or title transfer. Unmute everybody. I want everybody to unmute. Doesn't matter where you are, unmute. Say ownership/title transfer. Say these words, ownership/title transfer. Say it, I'm waiting.
Ownership
slash title transfer.
What are we
Ownership
doing?
Ownership
slash
title
ownership
transfer.
/ title transfer.
What should be there for it to be finance lease? Ownership/title transfer.
Ownership / title transfer.
Contract includes a bargain purchase option exercisable by the lessee. What is the meaning of bargain purchase option? To purchase asset at a profitable price for the lessee. The concept of bargain purchase gain is dealt in IFRS 3 business combinations, where you will understand this better in future if you do your IFRS. Bargain purchase gain in India is also referred to as capital reserve gains. Now, I don't want to get into all of that. If the contract is such that the lessee can buy the asset at a profit at the end of the lease, it is a finance lease. So what will we write? We will write bargain purchase gain for lessee. What will we write? Bargain purchase gain for lessee. What is the second point? Everybody unmute. Bargain purchase gain for lessee. First point, ownership/title transfer. Ownership/title transfer. Ownership/title transfer. Second point, bargain purchase gain for lessee. Bargain purchase gain for lessee. Bargain purchase gain for lessee. It has to sit in your heads. You have to mug it up. Next, lease term is 75% more of the life of the leased asset. Life of leased asset is 5 years. Lease term is 3 years. What is the percentage? 60%. What is this? This is an operating lease. 4 years. What is the percentage? 80%. What is this? finance lease. Do we understand? Yes or no?
Yes,
Yes
sir.
or no?
Yes, sir.
Lease term is greater than or equal to 75% of
75%.
the life of the asset. Of the what?
Life of the asset.
Life of the asset. So if I'm saying life of the asset is 8 years and lease term is 4 years, what is the percentage? 50%. What is this? Operating lease. 8 years, 5 years. How much percentage? 5 divided by 8 percentage. 62.5%. What is this? Operating
Operating.
lease. 8 years life, 6 years lease term. 6 divided by 8 percentage. How much is this? 75%. So this is a finance lease. So if I
Finance
make a
lease.
statement like this, for an asset which has a life of 8 years, a lease term has to be 6 years or more for it to qualify as a finance lease. Am I serious or am I joking? I'm serious. I'm serious. Are you understanding? Yes or no? Please tell me that.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right? So what is the third point? Lease term should be greater than or equal to 75% of the life of the asset. Lease term should be greater than or equal to how much? 75% of the life of the asset. What should the lease term be greater than or equal to? 75% of the life of the asset. Are you with me on that? Yes or no? Please tell me that.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Fourth category. Present value of future lease payments should exceed 90% of the fair value of the lease asset. Okay. FLP is greater than or equal to 90% of fair value of asset. What is the meaning of this point? I will explain to you. I will explain to you after I do the fifth point. It's a specialized asset that only the lessee will be using. In Tamil Nadu, there was a company. In Tamil Nadu, there was a company that used to manufacture needles for the purposes of tattooing. I had been to Chennai to take a look at this company's HO. And I went there, I spoke to these guys, very cool guys, okay? All of them had long hair, big earrings, they had these huge earrings. They had piercings in their noses. They were all wearing shorts, built like bulls, and tattoos all over their body. I felt like I've come into a rock concert or probably the WWE's gym. They were all like that. Americans, Germans, Indians, everybody covered in tattoos. And I said, what do you guys do? They said, we are all engineers. I said, fantastic. They said, we make tattoo needles on our machines. I said, oh, fantastic. I said, who consumes these needles? They said, anybody who has got a tattoo business in the country buys needles only from us. I said, that way too in Mumbai, there must be no less than 5,000 to 7,000 tattoo shops. They said, yeah, all of them buy our needles. Wherever we send it to various vendors and they all buy it from there. So I said, you are the monopolist of tattoo needles. They said, yeah, we are monopolists of tattoo needles. We are engineers, instrumentation engineers, and we create these machines. We create these machines. I said, all right. They said, this machine can be used only and only for the purposes of tattoo needles being made. Johnson & Johnson had approached them. For what purposes? For the purposes of trying to see if any needles can be manufactured by these guys that can be used by J&J in their work. J&J couldn't, because these needles were specifically made for inking on the skin. For doing what? For inking on the skin. Are you with me on that? Inking on the skin has got a different type of a needle versus a needle that is used for the purposes of injection and for stitches. Are you understanding what I'm trying to say? Yes or no? Please tell me that.
Yes, sir.
Syringe is
Yes,
a
sir.
different one. A stitches is a different one. And a tattoo is a different one. Are you with me on that?
Yes, sir.
Are you with me on that?
Yes,
A
sir.
tattoo needle has to be more durable because a tattoo has to be scraped into your skin. But a stitches has to be a circular needle like this, where you put in the catgut, the suture, the stitch. Injection has got to be one use. It does not have to be very, very strong. Does not have to be very, very strong. But tattoo needle has to be grrrr. It has to be like that. So that machine that they make could not be used by anybody else except for a tattoo company. Specialized asset. Do you understand the meaning of the term specialized asset over here? Yes or no? And the fifth
Yes, sir.
item is asset should be specialized. Asset to be specialized. Are you with me on that? There are 5 categories here, or 5. If any one of them is satisfied, you don't satisfy this, you don't satisfy this, you don't satisfy this, but you satisfy this, it will still be a finance lease. What will it be? It will still be a finance lease. Now everybody, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to recite the 5 points. What are the 5 points? Ownership and title has to be transferred. Come on, everyone. Ownership and title has to be transferred. Come on, unmute. Come on, do it. Unmute.
Ownership and title should be
Title has to
transferred.
be transferred. Second, bargain purchase gain for lessee. Bargain purchase gain for
gain
lessee.
for lessee.
Lease term greater than or equal to 75% of the life of the asset. Lease term
Lease
greater
term,
than or
sir.
equal to 75% of the life of the asset. The future lease payment should be greater than or equal to 90% of the fair value of the asset. I have to explain this. And finally, asset should be specialized. Finally,
Specialized.
asset should be specialized. Are we understanding this concept? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Aruf asked me a question. You have not told us the distinction between operating and finance lease. I just did, and you by-hearted it also. Understanding? Now, what do? Now, we erase this and we come here to make a chart for you. Leases. We'll write over here. Out of how many types? 2 types. What is the first one? Operating and finance leases. Finance leases are of 2 types. What are they? They are direct financing leases and sales type leases. What is the meaning of this? I will explain to you in the next slide. The question is, when is a lease a finance lease? When any one of 5 is satisfied, any one or more of below 5 are satisfied. When is a lease an operating lease? When neither of the adjacent 5 are satisfied. What is the first one? Title transfer or ownership transfer. Title or ownership transfer. Agreed or disagree?
Agreed.
Second one, bargain purchase
purchase.
gain for lessee. Third one,
Life of the asset
lease
should be more
tenure is greater than or equal to lease tenure
75%.
75%.
perfect 75% of life of asset.
Life of the asset.
Fourth one, future lease payments are greater than or equal to 90% of
90%.
asset fair value. Fifth one, it is a specialized asset. It is a specialized asset. Finished? Finished? Leases is over? Wait. Haripriya sent me a message. I was very worried. Pushkar, I don't understand the difference between direct financing lease and sale type lease. Haripriya, are you there? Haripriya, are you there? Yes or no? Maybe she's gone. She sent a message. I don't understand the difference between direct financing lease and sale type lease. So don't worry. Don't worry. I wanted to start my business. What did I want to do? I wanted to start my business. What was my business? I wanted to deliver various types of food items across all the markets in Mumbai. These items can be vegetarian, non-vegetarian, milk, non-milk, aerated, non-aerated, all types of food items. I went to my dear friend Maruf and I said, Maruf, you are a manufacturer of trucks with refrigeration facility. Can you give me one such truck? I need it. My level of operation is Mumbai. Maruf said, you don't need 1 truck. You need 50 trucks. I said, well, I don't have the money for 50 trucks. Maruf said, don't worry. I have an idea. I said, what is the idea? Maruf said, 1 truck like this will cost you 25 lakhs. I said, yes. He said, okay. So 50 such trucks should cost you 12 crore 50 lakhs. Correct? 12 crore 50 lakhs. 50 lakhs. Correct. We are not used to looking at such large numbers, right, in our life. We look at our salaries and we feel like, oh wow, life is a joke. Anyway, so you need this much money, he said. I said, but I don't have this much money. Maru said, don't worry. Maru said, don't worry. How many years are you going to use these trucks? I said, I will use them at least for 10 years. Okay. So Maruf said, 1 crore 25 lakhs you need as your operating capital every year. I said, yeah. Maruf said, what if you pay me 1 crore 40 lakhs every year? I said, yeah, I can afford to pay you 1 crore 40 lakhs. He said, okay, I will give you 50 trucks for 10 years if you pay me annually 1 crore 40 lakhs. I said, what about the asset ownership at the end? He said, that will come back to me. I said, okay. In doing this, Maruf satisfies this and this for me. It's a specialized asset for me and the FLP is 90%. How we will deal with it later? It's a type of a finance lease. Sale type lease. I go to my friend Maruf and I say, I have the money to pay you. Maruf says, no problem. You pay me 1 crore 40 lakhs per annum. At the end of 10 years, these trucks have a 20-year life. At the end of 10 years, you can take these trucks. They are yours. So what is Maruf essentially doing? Transferring the title at the end of 10 years. So what is a sale type lease? A lease where essentially the title is transferred, and a direct financing lease is a lease where the future lease payment is greater than or equal to 90% of the asset fair value. These are direct financing leases and sale type leases, both of which are part of a finance lease. This concept has been clarified. I do not expect you to have questions on these aspects, but these are words that are used that are creating a doubt in one of our colleagues' mind. That doubt has been clarified. What is most important on this slide? This is most important on this slide. Are we clear about this? Yes or no? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Screenshot. Screenshot.
Done, sir.
Sir, only this is the difference between direct finance lease and sale
Yes,
type lease.
only this much. Only this much. Nothing else.
Okay, so in direct finance lease, point number 4 and 5 should be satisfied.
And
And
in
in
sale
the
type lease, point number 1 is automatically satisfied because it is a
Yeah.
sale type lease. It is a sale type lease. Clear?
yes.
Should I rub it?
Sir, what if title ownership and the 90% value, both points are satisfied?
Both are transferred, and it's a finance lease. Both are transferred. It's a general finance lease. Finance lease have their categorizations. Does not mean all finance lease have to be in one of these two categories. A general finance lease, a general finance lease, a generic one. But where a finance lease has to be specifically drafted, crafted to include all these items, you break them down into a DFL and an STL. Got it? Got it? Yeah? No, yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Screenshot ले लिया? Screenshot taken? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sorry. life of the asset is 5 years, lease tenure is 6 years. So percentage of lease tenure is 3 divided by 6, which is equal to 60%. It is not a finance lease. Agreed or disagreed? Agreed or disagreed?
So here 5 years and 3 years.
5 years. So it's 60%. It has to be more than 75%, na? It has to be what?
Yes, sir.
It has to be more than 75%. So it is not a finance lease. Agreed or disagreed? Point number 1.
Agree.
Agreed?
Agreed.
Point number 2, asset is not specialized, so it is not a finance lease. Ownership is not transferred, so it is not a finance lease. How many points are covered? See, point number C, there is no bargain purchase gain. How will there be any bargain purchase gain if ownership is not occurring? No bargain purchase gain. So it is not a finance lease. What is the fair value of the asset? 50,000. What is the lease rental per annum? 25. What is the discount factor? 10%. I straight away took the annuity factor. Otherwise, you can calculate like this also. You will get the answer 62,171. Here, the present value of future lease payment is greater than 90% of the fair value of the asset. Yes or no? Please tell me that. Yes. What is the present value of this? It is 62,171. Is it greater than 90% of the fair value of the asset? What is the fair value of the asset? 50,000. What is 90% of this? 45,000. Arey boss, the present value of future lease payment is greater than 100% of the fair value of the asset. So yes, fair future lease payment greater than 90%. Present value of future greater than 90% of fair value of asset condition is satisfied. So therefore, it is a finance lease. Are you with me? Yes or no? Please tell me that. Are you with me? Yes or no? Please tell me that.
Yes, sir.
Do you understand this concept?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Do you understand this concept? My dear students, do you understand this concept? I told you that one point I'll explain you later. This is that. Now here the question is detect which kind of lease. Detect operating lease or financing lease. So what is this? This is a financing lease. Are you with me? Yes or no? Please tell me that. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Hubli, Alok,
Yes, sir. Understood.
Divya, Sheetal,
Yes, sir.
this one, Haripriya, you had vanished. You are back. Are you understanding this? Haripriya? Haripriya?
Sir, give me a moment, sir. My
Sorry?
network is down.
But did you join from the starting of this question?
No.
Huh?
No, sir.
No problem.
Okay.
You answer my questions. You answer my questions. Now you tell me one thing. What is the life of the asset? Are you able to unmute? Haripriya? Are you able to unmute? Okay, for you, I'm repeating. At least listen. Life of the asset is 5 years. Lease tenure is 3 years. So the lease tenure is 60%. It is not more than 75%. So it is not a finance lease. So from this, it looks like an operating lease. Fair value, I'll come to later. It is not specialized. Transfer is not there. Bargain purchase gain is not there. Because of all of this, it is not a finance lease. But the lease rental is 25,000 per annum for a period of 3 years. The fair value is 50,000. The discount factor is 10%. The fair value of the lease payments is 62,171. It exceeds 90% of the fair value of the asset. So because of this, it satisfies the finance lease condition. So it is a finance lease. Does everybody understand this carefully? Yes or no? Please tell me that. Give me thumbs up for everybody who's understood why this is a finance lease. Why this is a finance lease? Give me thumbs ups. Give me thumbs ups. Lokesh, Maruf, Navya, Hubli, Alnur, Dugla, Dipanshu, Divya, you are all understanding? Tanna has gone home? Okay.
Sir, I gave thumbs up twice.
Good, 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 good. Give us a Pepsi also then. Clear the drawings. Screenshot is taken. Pepsi tastes crappy after you start drinking thumbs up. I seriously tell you. Alnur, Saudi में thumbs up मिलता है? Maruf, सऊदी में थम्स अप मिलता है? हाँ चलेगा, देना हम
हाँ मिलता है ना सर.
लाइफ इज सॉर्टेड, लाइफ इज सॉर्टेड, लाइफ इज सॉर्टेड. Marlboro you get everywhere in the world. It's a global brand. Thumbs up also you are getting over there. Life is sorted. ठीक
सर
है.
यहाँ हर चीज मिलता है, मतलब जो
माशाअल्लाह.
वहाँ नहीं है वो यहाँ है.
चलो. Clear this? Now, test question for you. Is this a finance lease? Calculate and tell me. You have 2 minutes. Is this a finance lease or is this an operating lease?
Operating.
Operating.
What is the?
Operating.
Have you calculated this?
Yes. The first
Okay,
one
tell
is
me what is the present value of future lease payments? What is it? What is it? What is the answer? What is your answer?
50116.
Correct. For people who cannot calculate annuity factor on calculator, don't worry. I will teach you if you come.
50110.
हाँ चलेगा.
Decimal.
Decimal rounding off है. Decimal
Yes sir.
rounding off है. Don't get worried.
5011. 50111.
Don't get worried. It's a decimal rounding off.
Yes sir. Decimal problem. 712,636.
What is 90% of this?
Yes sir. It is
54,000.
finance.
What is present value of minimum lease payment? 50,116. Is it greater than or equal to 54,000? No.
Operating.
No. This is how much percentage? 67%.
66%. Yes.
Operating lease. Because of all of this, what does it become? Operating lease.
Operating.
And because of this, what does it become?
Operating.
Operating lease. Are we clear? Please take a screenshot. Please take a screenshot.
The calculation of annuity factor.
Sorry?
Calculation of annuity factor.
Annuity factor, right now you don't need it. Don't worry. When it comes, essentially, I will cover it for you. Don't worry.
Sure, sir. Sure,
It's a
sir.
simple calculation here. It's not rocket science.
Okay.
Lease is over. Calculate present value of lease payments if the lease are paid for at the first day of the year. Let us discuss. Let's take a 3-year lease. For year 1, when will the payment be made? It will be made on day 1 of year 1. It means it will be made today. Agreed or disagreed?
Agreed.
Great sir.
Year 2, it will be made on day 1 of year 2, which is 31st December 2022. day 365 of year 1. Agreed or disagreed?
Agreed.
Agreed or disagreed? Last day of year 1 is the first day of year 2. Agreed or disagreed? Agreed or disagreed, guys? Come on. It's the concept of closing stock. Closing stock of last year is opening stock
Yes.
of this year.
Yes.
So first day of current year is the last day of the previous year. Agreed or disagreed?
Agreed.
Year 3, day 1 of year 3 is equal to day 365 of which year? Which year?
Year 2. Year
Perfect.
2.
Perfect. Today, rupee 1 is equal to rupee 1. Agreed?
Yes.
The value of 1 rupee is 1 rupee. Therefore, discounting factor is equal to 1. Agreed or disagreed?
Agreed.
How much lease you want to take? Lease per annum. How much you want to take? I'll take 1 lakh. Easy to calculate. Discounting factor. How much you want? You decide. Your doubt. How much you want to take? 18%? 18% you are comfortable?
Yes.
Lease payment. How much?
1 lakh.
1 lakh. 1 lakh. Discounting factor at the rate of 18% for the first day of the first year will be 1. But sir, you used to do 1 divided by 1.18. Yes, I used to do this when the year 1 payment was made on day 365 of year 1. At this time, I used to take this as the discounting factor. But here, on the first day of the first year, I am making the lease payment. So today, 1 rupee or $1 is equal to 1 rupee or $1. 1 rupee is worth 1 rupee. The question of inflation and interest does not arise because no period per se has elapsed. Are you understanding? Yes or no? Because no period per se has elapsed. Are you with me on that? Yes or no? Please tell me that.
Yes, sir.
Second year is essentially the last day of year 1. So the first year's discounting factor will come for the second year. 1 divided by 1.18. What is your answer? 0.8474.
Yes. 0.84, sir.
84745 762711. I rounded it off as this much. This will be 84,740 present value. Next, same logic. What was the second year's discounting factor will now become the third year's discounting factor, 71,820. Take the total 1 lakh plus 84,740 plus 71,820. What is your answer? 2,56,560. Agreed or disagreed?
Agreed, sir.
Agreed or disagreed? Yes. Would you like to do
So
an
what will be the entries now? How we
now?
will make entry? We'll make advance entry.
Yes, it will be advance rent. Yes, it will be advance rent. However, if the lease agreement is such that it is to be made on the first day of the year, it will not be an advance rent. Because as per agreement, you will make the accounting. Accounting is always performed as per the agreement. If the agreement is such that rent is to be paid on the first day of the year, it is not an advance. But if out of your own free will and some prudency, some relationship with the lessee, if you are doing it, then it is an advance. Here it is not an advance. Am I clear about this? Yes or no? Please tell me that. Yes or no? Please tell me that.
But sir, in when we prepare reports for monthly, quarterly, there we
Appreciate
have
it. For the MIS purposes, you must be writing it. But if your agreement is such that in the agreement it is written ki first day you have to pay, how can you call it an advance? The due dates are determined by an agreement. You do the accounts as per the legal form, but the substance of accounting has to be maintained. Are you with me?
Yes, sir.
Haripriya, you understand this?
Yes, sir.
Would you like to do an amortization table for this now?
Yes, sure.
Let's do an amortization table for this so that that doubt should be erased from your mind. Take a screenshot of this. Take a screenshot of this. Taken? Screenshot is taken?
Yes, sir.
Lease rent 1 lakh per annum. paid on day 1 of the year. Lease tenure is equal to 3 years. Year 1, year 2, year 3. Lease 1 lakh. 1 lakh. 1 lakh. Discounting factor at the rate of 18%. 1 divided by 1.18, 0.8474, and next year 0.7182. Present value 1 lakh, 84,740, 71,820. Total 1 lakh plus 84,740 plus 71,820. What is your total? 256,560. Now someone will say, "Arey, this is okay, but what was amortization?" Okay, we'll talk about amortization. Year 1, year 2, year 3. Opening balance of lease liability 2,56,560. Interest at the rate of 18%. Nil. Why? Because you are paying on the first day of the year. How come there will be any interest? Are you with me? Are you with me? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
There can't be any interest. So, total lease liability.
सर डे 1 का तो पे कर सकते हैं ना.
1 day's interest is not material. 1 day's interest is not material. 1 day's interest is not material. Whatever is not material is not accounted for. Basic pillar of accountancy. Whatever is not material is not accounted for. Yes or no? Do you charge 1 day's depreciation? Do you charge 1 day's depreciation?
नहीं.
Then for what joy will you take 1 day's interest?
The money, because this is money.
Total lease liability. Then installment. Principal, interest,
1 lakh.
outstanding principal. Principal 1 lakh. Interest nil. Outstanding principal 256, 560.
156, 560.
Perfect. Balance sheet. Right of use asset 256, 560
560.
minus depreciation divided by 3, 85, 520. Okay. 171,040. Lease liability 256, 560.
560 less 1 lakh.
Installment 1 lakh.
This is essential. Now on this interest will come at the rate of 18%. Why? Because now there is a 1 year period that will be elapsed. What is your answer? 28,181. What is your total lease liability? 28,181 plus
184,740.
560. 184, 741.
741.
Installment?
1 lakh.
Principal? Wait. Let's not hurry up.
Interest
28,181
28,100.
minus 1 lakh. 71,819.
819.
Outstanding. 156,560 minus 71,819. How
819.
much?
84,741.
84,741.
84,741. Perfect answer. Will you calculate interest here? No. What is my total liability? 1 lakh.
1 lakh.
Installment 1 lakh. Principal 84,741. Interest is balancing figure. How much?
15,250.
15,259.
84,741 minus 84,741 is equal to 0. Interest is how much?
15,259.
259. Balancing figure. Correct? Okay. Now, this was
Minus
minus installment. How much?
1 lakh.
How much are we left with?
84,741.
Plus interest. How much? 15,259. How much this will become?
100,000.
Minus installment.
100.
How much? What is the closing balance?
0.
0. I will put this in a red circle. And opening also I will put it in a red circle. Now I'll tell you why I'm doing that. Minus depreciation of year 2. 85,520. How much is left? 85,520 is left. Minus depreciation for year 3. 85,520 is gone. You are left with a closing balance of 0.
0.
Opening liability was equal. Closing liability is equal. Your calculation is correct. This is how you will calculate whether it is paid on the first day of the year. All the journal entries will stay the same. Only thing, the lease payment entry that you are making on the last day, you will pass that entry on the first day. Depreciation will be charged for all 3 years. Depreciation will not stop. In the first year, interest will be nil as the payment is made on the day 1. As payment made on day 1, interest is equal to nil. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Screenshot, please. Screenshot, please.
Again, sir.
Now there is nothing left in this. Haripriya agreed? Every variety is over.
Yes, sir.
Everything is over.
Yes.
You will not have those things compounded as semi-annually, monthly, quarterly. They will not ask you to that extent. But if they do, we will do it in MCQs. And for that,
Okay.
if you all have a doubt about that, you all can watch the effective interest rate video of CA Foundation on Apex channel in time value of money.